So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews. We'll discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Adam Mayhew, who's co-founder at A Game. So, Adam, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, what you do, how you help people, what the A Game does, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It's great to be here. So, my name is Adam Mayhew. I'm the co-founder of A Game, as you mentioned, and we provide life coaching for male founders who want to remove alcohol, rebuild their health, and stop letting fear about money, performance, and failure follow them every home every night. That's what we do. So,
Wonderful,
yeah,
brilliant. I'm
I'm
in.
sure you'll have lots of founders listening to this and business owners and the fear that they carry every day. Obviously, we're business owners as well and founders. So, yeah,
Yep.
we mainly work with male founders who are looking to get an extra edge on their performance and be in the here and now, in the present, and yeah, set meaningful
Brilliant.
goals and actually achieve them.
Love it, absolutely love it, and I'd like to come back to talk about fear a bit in a
Yeah.
second. But just on the note of A game specifically, so you're very clear, which is great about the sort of people that you best work with. Of that group, what makes a great client for you? What would be some of the characteristics of someone that you go, they would be, we can really serve them best.
Yeah. So, our ideal client avatar is uh, usually a male. We do have some female clients, but
Yep,
our marketing is mainly aimed at
yep,
males in the region of age range of 38 to late 50s. They could be married, they could be going through a divorce or about to go through a divorce or thinking about divorce.
yep,
They maybe have two or three children. They run a successful business, but they are stressed, anxious, turning to the bottle. Not necessarily a full blown out, alcoholic, but they're using alcohol as a crutch to air
yep.
quote help them. They're rarely present at home. They're bringing the business challenges from the day to day and bringing it back home, and just throwing the children the iPad. That scenario, not present at football practice at the weekends. There's lots of cognitive dissonance in their heads. Not making a decision is a decision. There's yeah,
Yep.
a lot of tension there, and they are not becoming the man who they know that they can be. Yeah, so that's a lot of the work that we
Great.
do, and it's a combination of removing alcohol, NLP coaching, CBT, meditation, mindfulness, healthy habits, dieting. It's like the full package that goes in there.
Wonderful,
Mm.
wonderful. Because it is. I mean, as we said before we started, we work as an organisation with business owners, business
Mm.
leaders, manager directors, founders, and it is a stressful occupation. That's why only 4% of the population own businesses.
Yeah,
And and it is, the stress relief mechanisms a lot of us have aren't overly healthy to ourselves and our families. You absolutely totally agree. It's so easy to take our problems home. But that's that. If we described our perfect self, I'm sure it wouldn't include taking our problems home and sharing them with our wives and our families
yeah, that's
and
it. But
messing with the kids'
that's a
head.
good point because a lot, especially with men, they may not want to speak to the partner or the wife about X, Y, and Z. So someone to speak to who's not a friend, not a business partner, not a colleague or a
Yeah,
partner, and who's not attached or involved in the business or anywhere in their life, we create that non-judgmental space. And
love it.
if they want to be challenged as well, we will hold up the mirror, set meaningful goals, hold accountability, but with that empathy there as well. Yeah.
Love it, absolutely love it. Feels like we're on a very parallel sort of journey. Really,
Yeah.
we focus primarily on the business owner and how they run and manage the business, but it is the person, not just the business.
That's it. Yeah, we're
But
not business coaches. We're more on the life side.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
we come from the stance of health feeds performance. If you want
yep,
to perform better, we've
hundred
got to
percent,
look at your health and master yourself, master your habits.
yep,
You'll see that you're firing on all cylinders. Yeah.
love it, absolutely love it. So maybe if we look back to start with, Adam, perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you.
Yeah. So my background's corporate IT.
Wow,
So,
okay,
yeah.
brilliant.
So I was in the IT industry for years, working at various different companies from small to large. My last role was out in Dubai working for a Australian company who had an office out in Dubai in the family entertainment industry,
Right.
and working mainly as a support and operations manager in around the software and the systems that we used. And I'd been in tech, ever since I was 20 years old, so it's all I knew. However, I used to talk a good game, especially, early 20s and early 30s about, yeah, one day I'm going to start a business. Yeah. It was all talk. And it obviously in the first lockdown, when I was living in Dubai, we went into lockdown a little bit earlier than the UK, and I was
Yep.
made redundant. My whole team was made redundant at the time. The company I was working for shut the Dubai office, and that was it. It was all see you later, you know.
Goodness.
So I decided that now's the time. Now's the time, and I, in the background, I'd been studying anyway because I'd been studying to become a coach, a nutritional therapist as well. And prior to that, I had stopped drinking alcohol. So at this point, I was about 2 years alcohol free, and this is what played a massive part into it. So I knew I wanted to help people improve their performance, help them to get healthier and perform better in life, in all areas. And a huge part of that is removing the alcohol.
Hmm.
And it all sort of started from there, basically. And a friend, an old friend of mine, my business, who's now my business partner,
Yep.
he announced that he was going into coaching, and I reached out to him because I was in Dubai and he was in the
Yep.
UK, and I reached out to him and said, I think we can help each other out. I'm coming back soon because I've just been made redundant, and I think we can help each other out. And yeah, we started the business.
Fabulous.
Started the business
Fabulous.
in December 2020. Yeah.
And your customer base is global. I think you mentioned you got clients all around the world.
Yes, we do. We got clients in the UK, in Dubai, Australia, America. Yeah, all dotted around.
Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah,
So
because
so
obviously we started it in lockdown, so
yeah,
it's an online business. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And it's really interesting that obviously, unfortunately, many businesses were challenged quite significantly by COVID and lockdown, but
Mm,
there is also quite a significant percentage that both were founded in lockdown
mm,
and therefore sort of didn't know any different. It's just this is how it is, but also found the opportunity to I hate we will use the word pivot because everyone was pivoting at that point, but have pivoted quite successfully, and it's actually been a springboard to better things.
yeah.
And I guess it's just how we look at those things. But whether it obviously you found it in lockdown, but whether it is about to do with COVID or not, but what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome as you've developed and grown the business?
So when we started in lockdown, as I mentioned, and we didn't know anything about marketing, sales. I think lockdown actually worked in our favor because we just did a massive push on social media and just
Brilliant.
throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep.
Come
Yep.
come to our free mastermind. Let's just see what happens. And then off the
Wonderful.
back of that mastermind, we had family and friends that came to it, but we signed up our first 15 clients.
Wow.
But those clients, they the clientele now is very different to the clientele back then. It was anyone who wanted coaching. Right now we're very specific who we work with. It's male founders.
Yep.
Of course, we do have the odd client now as well who's very senior in the company. They could be, ops director or CEO, for example, in the company. But in those early days, it was anyone, anyone that could afford our
Yes.
coaching. Yep, yep, come in. I think the challenges we've had over the years is as a founder and business owners and founders that are listening to this, you get the shiny penny syndrome. And as we know in marketing, you have to bang the same drum over and over and
Yep.
over again. And I've been talking about going alcohol free for nearly 8 years now. It's like been shouting about it. And I think the challenges that you can have in business is where you launch something, where you launch an offer or a product or a service, and you don't necessarily give it enough time, and you get distracted by something else,
Yep.
and you end up launching something else, and that launch didn't really work very well because your heart wasn't fully in it, and you get pulled from pillar to post, and it's so easy to do. And then potential partnerships come up, you start talking to other people. It's like, no, let's just focus on the thing that works. We have a service, we know it works. Let's just
Yep.
keep banging the same drum. And I think those have been the challenges over the years. over 5 years in business now, and it was a couple of years ago we did take a, I'm going to use your word, pivot. We've
Yep.
pivoted several times,
Yes.
and I think what's happened is we've over the years we have confused our audience over the
Yep.
years. We banged the drum about going alcohol free, and then we started speaking about other things, and then that didn't go down as well. And we did at one point start to talk a little bit about business coaching, and then that didn't go down too well. And then we're known, especially on LinkedIn, we are known as the alcohol free guys. That
Right.
is,
Brilliant.
you want to improve performance. This is not aimed at alcoholics. This is aimed at the mid lane drinkers.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to perform better, build your habits, get healthier, improve your relationships, reduce your stress, reduce your anxiety, let's start with removing that booze, and let's start
Right.
there. So, and yeah,
Brilliant.
that's it. Mm,
It's a really good example actually and I really I can see the real targeting of the message. I think
mm.
a lot of challenges people have in marketing is the fear that if I get too specific, I don't get anybody.
Yeah,
But it's actually the other way around. There is a phrase in marketing that I really love, which if you go for everybody, you get nobody
you know one.
because the
Yeah.
message isn't clear enough. And as you said, the message is dilute. We tend to dilute it. And I appreciate you said that the first launch you did was a whole bunch of people just get whoever we could together
Mm,
and you got clients from it. But I think as we move forward, the more specific you get, the more likely you get somebody to go, yeah, that's me, and
yeah.
therefore engage. So I think it's brilliant. And alongside the marketing messages, any other significant learnings about growing a business, whether that's from the challenges or the successes you've had?
Yes, you need a mentor. We're coaches, and obviously we have clients, but we mention it all the time that we've got our coaches, business
Brilliant,
coaches, mentors. I've got a mindset coach, a life coach that I offload to.
brilliant.
It's imperative, absolutely imperative that you have that in business. I think as well, you need to be clear with what you want and how you want your day to look, and you're going to hit a point, especially let's say year one, you are doing everything. You're trying to
Yep,
get sales in, trying to get marketing, you're trying to find out what product, what service works. You don't know, you're trying to make connections, you're doing your social media posts, you're making cups of teas, you're doing all sorts. You're doing everything. You're the accountant one minute,
absolutely.
you're doing everything. And you'll get to a point, I think year two, you make revenue in year one, year two, you're like, yeah, we're smashing it. I think by year three, you can start to plateau, and it's like, okay, what do we want to do here? Where do we want to go with this? And how are we going to do it? And what accelerated our business was getting the team in. So, I was sat there writing up coaching notes and nutrition plans at 10 o'clock at night,
Yep,
3, 4 years ago. And, I was stretched thin. I was burning out myself.
yes,
This is not right. I'm not enjoying this anymore. And I think a book that completely transformed our business was The E Myth Revisited.
yep. Michael
That's a
Gerber,
fantastic book. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. That paired with Alex Hormozy, 100 million offers, completely transformed our business. And we got the team in place. Game changer, of course. Yeah.
brilliant.
But I think again with that, obviously there's challenges that come with it, and we have had team members that have come and go,
Yes,
and yeah, and then when they do go, it's everything. A lot of things fall back onto you again because it's like, geez, I have not done that in like 3 years. Like, how do I do that? I can't remember how to do that again. Yeah, so it where we are now is we have a small team, and we are looking to expand it again. Yeah, to bring in marketing. I think in 2026 there's going to be a lot more noise with AI, and
yep,
especially in the coaching space, as you're a coach as well, there's a lot of
yep,
noise in this space. There's a lot of AI generated content that is going to get even worse this year.
yes,
So I think what you got to be know, what we were talking about before is having your message right and getting it out there and getting it in front of the right people at the right time.
yep,
Also, not sounding like everyone else, I think is going to be the challenge going
yeah,
into 2026. And yeah, so that's why at the moment we're working with we're going to be hiring another marketing manager to come in and help us
brilliant,
with this and making sure our personal branding, that's another thing as well. 2026 is going to be a lot about personal branding, elevated even more this
brilliant,
year.
brilliant.
That's what I'm hearing anyway from the experts.
Great. Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think I think it is. as I say, in the world of AI, it's important to be as human and authentic as we can.
Mm,
It really, it's if it's about content, well, content's there but it's the right content for me as a human being that another human being has thought through and helped me to find out, rather than just go and get a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, somebody was saying, I paraphrase what they said, but they basically said, look, all the information AI is delivering has been out there for a long time. It's, if you did enough searching, you could find the
yeah,
information. But it's about the human being that can actually relate to you and what you need, whether that's in, as a human being or as a business, etc., and find the right things. And I think, you're right. We're looking a lot at what AI is going to do and support, and some great stuff out there. But ultimately, there's still going to be enough people out there that want to work with a human being.
yeah, I
Won't be
agree.
everybody, and some people go, great. I'm having great conversations with ChatGPT or whatever it would be, but there's going to be plenty of people that go, yeah, but this has no empathy with me. It can't. A machine can't have empathy. It can teach me a lot of things, but it can't have empathy with me. Um,
That's it. That's it. Exactly it. Because we've had conversations with some of the companies, AI companies, that would take our head avatar and would be like me on screen as a coach.
yes.
Um, I was like, well, that sounds good, but they can't read body language,
No.
and it's knowing which screw to turn at the right time. And a lot of our clients that come in, they're with us for a long time, average 18 months, 2 years,
Yeah.
which is great, and you get to know them personally.
Yes.
So and AI won't be able to. I think it will just tell you what you want to hear. I know because I've done it on ChatGPT, and
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever done this before. Have you asked ChatGPT to roast you?
No, that's interesting.
If you fed it lots of information about you and your
Love
business,
it. Yeah.
ask it to roast you, and it'll just have a it'll go in on you.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
but
I will.
obviously it doesn't know what state of mind you're in. It can't read your body
Yeah.
language, the emotional side, and having that emotional intelligence. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
gonna look there.
be interesting to see. I mean, I totally get, as I say, it's. I think anyone that isn't looking at what impact it has on their business and their industry is going to be left behind. So it is important that we do, but it's not that it's. I think there's as many good things about it as there are challenges that people see and foresee and worry about. And but we should be yet to see. But I'm really pleased to hear you say that you have your own coach and mentor, because
Yeah.
I do too, and I find people still quite surprised about that. I've been coaching businesses for 20 years now. I know my stuff,
Mm.
but we still can't coach ourselves. We've still got our own beliefs, our own limiting beliefs, our own fears, our own that we just need sometimes, as you rightly say, to offload, to have somebody next to us that cares and asks us the right question. So, um, and
That's it.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So you've got your own coaches. Who are the best coaches you've worked with? Whether that is business, sport, life in general. Who are the best people that have helped you
Yeah,
personally?
personally, a man called Patrick Hill, based down in London.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's a fantastic coach. Another one is David Waldy as well, who's based out in America, who's done a lot of work with Tony Robbins, was in Tony Robinson's team a few years ago.
Yep.
He's brilliant as well. When you reflect on your previous coaches, I think at the time when you're working with them, you'd say, "This is the best coach. This is the best coach ever. This is the best coach ever." But right now, I'm working with Phil Graham, and he's on the business side, business mentoring, and I think overall he's definitely the best. The best mentor we've ever had is Phil
Brilliant.
Graham. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So he's just I don't know if you know Phil Graham, but he's recently branched out from he's mainly works in the fitness industry,
Okay.
and he's branched out and working with mainly service-based businesses, and it's yeah, he just cuts straight through the noise. He'll just tell you
Brilliant.
exactly what the problem is and how to solve it. So there's been when we started working with him, there was a lot of things that were showing up for us. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant. And whether it's from Phil or anyone else you mentioned, or any other source, do you have any favourite quotes or sayings about business success, life in general, that you catch yourself using a lot?
Ooh, a lot of my quotes that I like come from like Stoic philosophy and
Cool.
yeah, those sorts of things, but not so much on the business side.
I think
Um,
Stoicism, I think, relates directly
I
to.
think it does. Yeah,
It
of course
honestly
it
does.
does.
I,
Yeah. I think, well, okay, I'll take one of the Stoic quotes, which is, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And
Brilliant. Love
bringing
it.
that into, it's not just in business, but let's keep it in a business perspective. How often do we do this? We suffer so much. We worry about, clients canceling, not paying their invoices, or staff members, whatever, turning in late or not showing up, or projects not getting delivered on time, whatever it is, whatever the challenges are. And then when it actually happens or comes to the day, it's like, oh, well, that didn't really happen, did it? It's just like we suffer more in imagination than in reality.
Love it.
So, and I think that that's a lot of the work that we do, and especially on my side when I'm working with one-to-one with clients, is the meditation and the mindfulness is coming back to the here and now, accepting
Brilliant.
your reality here and not to catastrophize. And I think, well, a lot of our clients do it. And an analogy I like to use is when you're driving down the road and you burst a tire, you don't get out the car and stab the other three tires, do you? No, that would be stupid. But that is
Yeah.
exactly what we do with our thoughts. Something happens in life and in business, and we catastrophize. We
Yep.
go, oh, but this, oh, this, oh, this, and this, and this. Whoa, whoa, let's just take a moment, take a breath. What's actually happened here? What's the reality? And now it's time to deal with the reality of the situation once you've processed the emotion and everything else. And I think a lot of the time we catastrophize and we think of the absolute worst case scenario, which is a thing in Stoic philosophy. Yes, to think about the worst case
Yes.
scenario, but don't emotionally attach yourself onto it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try stay in the here and now as best as you can. Yeah.
And I think it's quite. I mean, it's quite valuable too. I use that quite a lot to say, well, okay, what is the worst case scenario, and how bad really is that?
Mm.
What is the worst case? Because most situations, including especially in business, the worst case scenario isn't that bad.
It's not that bad, is it? No.
If yeah, losing some money, we can make it. We'll make some more.
Yeah.
It's not the worst. It's interesting. I worked with a guy called trying to think of his name now. That's terrible. Richard Wilkins many years ago,
Okay.
and he talked about however we think and feel, or however we think certainly is a choice. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
it's it's literally a choice, and he said, I remember him saying, he said, look, if I said to you right now that everything you do, every decision you make will work in the future, every single one,
Mm.
can't make a mistake, everything's perfect, you'd probably think I was a bit of a fool because
Yeah.
some of things are going to go wrong. It's nice to think like that, but worry is the exact opposite. Worry is thinking everything's going to go wrong,
Yeah.
and it is as foolish. And yet we're really comfortable in that world. And then he sort of flipped it. He said, if it's a choice, why wouldn't we choose to believe everything's going to be great? If we're because we put ourselves in worry, which has big emotional challenges to us, and even comes out in the sort of the physicality of stress.
Mm.
Whereas we could choose to believe it's all going to be great,
Yeah.
because neither will be true. That it's going to be perfect or totally terrible. And I just found it really interesting and quite helpful, to be perfectly frank, just to say, well, actually, I am choosing to believe things will go wrong. So the whole fear thing is fascinating because I think it is. My personal belief is our reaction to fearful situations, or even a perception of fearful situation, hasn't evolved with our safety. In other words, 10,000 years ago, it made a lot of sense to be fearful as soon as we walked out of our caves because
Mm.
we could get eaten by a big hairy animal. I mean, that was definitely a
Yeah.
proposition. But now our reaction to things that clearly can't kill us still have that same level of fear, if that makes sense. That
Yeah.
if something goes wrong. I mean, fear. I was talking to somebody the other day about fear of presenting, standing up in front of a bunch of people. That's allegedly almost exactly the same as fear of death, and it's like, well, it's not. It's just standing up in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Um, so it's fascinating, isn't it? So yeah,
It is. It is fascinating, and that's a lot of the work that we do, with our clients. Is
brilliant.
what is that fear? Where's it coming from? And we both know it's usually something back in childhood, and it probably connects to not feeling good enough. If we use
Yes.
the analogy of it being on stage, you don't feel good enough. As to why you don't feel good enough, we're going to have to ask you loads of questions and figure out why. And that's where the NLP and the CBT
Yep.
comes in. Yeah, and change the story back then to then able to do whatever you want to do now in the present.
Brilliant.
And I find the work fascinating of, human
Yes,
behavior and why people do what they do. Yeah, fascinates me. It's really, really,
brilliant.
really, really interesting. Mm.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'd say we touch on it in what we do. We're primarily
Mm.
about, how to grow business, the tools, the strategies, but we're very much, for us, I guess similar to you, having all the tools available is great, but if we're not going to pick them up because of some of limiting beliefs or things that are going on in our
Mm.
head, isn't going to help. So we do touch on that a little bit. And I mean, we talked a little bit about learning, Adam. What would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
Through the business journey, I think whatever I put my mind to, I think I can do it.
Brilliant.
I think when I reflect back, as I'm doing now, as I'm just looking up, when we first started the business, I had these fears, a lot of the fears that our clients experience.
Yes.
I had fears, that I wouldn't be good enough, that people are going to judge me, and I'm new. Actually, when we started the business, I wasn't actually qualified at that point. I still had a year left to go on my studies, so it's like I had this belief that limiting belief that I couldn't help anyone,
Yeah.
and that just paralyzes you. It prevents you from taking action. And I literally just put it down to that is a poor thought. It is, what data do you have that you're not good enough?
Yeah.
Go off of the data.
Yep.
So I kept coming back to that, and I think, in the early days in the business, obviously I had my coaches to lean on as well, and obviously they really helped me to reframe things and just not get over the fear, understand the fear,
Yep.
and then get a plan and how we're going to move forward. And a lot of the time, I think, especially in business, especially if you're putting yourself out there on social media, you can feel judged. You feel, you're worrying about what other people think, and why am I doing all this? If you're in that thinking, you're probably in the wrong space,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely work with someone on that. And I had that in the early days, definitely worrying about what old school friends would think and old colleagues and all this. And most people want you to do good. Of course, there's
Yes.
a few people that will give you a bit of rubbish along the way, but I fully understand that's their issue, not mine.
Yep.
I know I'm doing good, and now well, as of today, I've got 5 years worth of data of all the clients I've helped and turned their lives around, and
Brilliant.
they're performing better. That Here we go. There's all the data. So always come back
Love
to
it.
that when for your listeners, when a thought comes in, and if you start attaching to that thought, it's a negative thought. Just ask yourself, take a moment, pause, anchor to the breath, and just say, "Is this thought true?" Hmm. No, it's not true. What data do I have that this thought is true? No data. The best question I've ever been asked, and I stole it off one of my previous coaches, and I use it every day with my clients, is what's a more helpful thought?
Brilliant.
Because this current thought isn't serving you. It's not positivity, rah, rah, let's dance around the garden like there's no weeds. There's none of that. No, but what's more helpful? Let's go for the data. Let's go for the facts.
Love it.
And yeah, what's a more healthier and helpful thought? It's
Love
great.
it. Are you familiar? I mean, I love Byron. I think it's Byron Katie's four questions.
Oh, yeah.
And is it true? And then the second question is, are you absolutely positively sure it's true? Because
Yeah. You're
um,
100% sure?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
And I think it's so who how does it affect me? I think it's very. I mean, obviously, obviously Sheila pulled these from different places, but how does it affect me if I when I do have that thought, and who would I be if I didn't have that thought?
Mm.
And I love I've added I think the fifth one was very similar to what you just said. What if I actually believe the opposite? What if I absolutely believe the complete opposite of that
Yeah.
thought? Where what would that look like? What if
Yeah.
I believe this negative thing was actually the other way? And it's so
Great questions.
fascinating just to see how our you know, brains function and operate in
Yeah.
that way. Um, have you? I mean, he's after what happened a couple of years ago. He's not particularly persona non grata, but there's a clip of Will Smith talking about going skydiving.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just love
Yeah.
that idea that and he says sort of, at our point of most safety, i.e. lying in our bed before we do it, is maximum fear when we're looking forward to something might happen. And yet the point of actually doing the skydive, it's the maximum pleasure,
Yeah.
which is
Thing is,
really
it's the
weird.
same chemicals in the body that's happening. You know, when you're having that fear, that anxiety, and you're sweating everything else, it's the exact same chemicals that are going on when you're excited. It's
Yes,
the attachment that you're making to it. So change the thinking in your head, put a positive
absolutely.
attachment on it, and yeah, it's the same. Get excited about it. And
Yeah,
language is a huge thing as well. It probably is with, with your coaching, is especially with the NLP side. We listen very carefully to the words that they're
yes,
saying, how they're holding themselves when they say it, because you can make anything sound good and anything sound
yeah.
stupid just how you say it. Yeah, so that plays a massive part in as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. You were talking about this slightly earlier, actually, and something came up. So that made me think about this next question. So our definition of an action coach of a true business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without its owners.
Okay.
Now I like to put in can because I always believe if we absolutely love what we do, we're never necessarily going to stop some of the things we do. But it's the choice of not needing to do that. And you were talking about sort of those early years. How do you feel about that as a definition of a business?
I think it's great. Yeah. Yeah. I think it is. I think the I think as we tend to work in 90 days now. So
Great,
90-day goals, those are
brilliant.
our focuses. And a great one of my previous mentors, Mike Green, do you know Mike Green?
Rings a bell, but I can't say as I know.
He was on Secret Millionaire about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. He
Yep,
he he uses a great analogy. It's a sat nav analogy. So just get very clear just how you put in a destination on the sat nav postcode. That's where you're going. And make that relative into the business, whatever, revenue target, staff that you need, marketing strategies, whatever. This is where we're going. But what happens when you take a long journey? There's bumps in the road, there's wrong turns, there's diverts, there's accidents, there's road closures, da, 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 da. And that's it. And it's been adaptable to when you hit those challenges,
yep,
because you are going to hit them, but the
yes,
destination remains the same. It's just how you're going to get there. And it may
yep,
take a long way around to get there. And you're going to try out all these different things and you might burst your tire on the
brilliant.
way down, but stay focused on that end destination.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think is the main thing. Because like I said a moment ago, you can get so lost and not take action. And you sometimes you wake up and think, why am I doing this again?
yes, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
it's something we do in action coach that I've not seen many, if any, other people do. Which basically we do something called alignment, which is aligning the business goals to the personal goals of its owners.
Yeah. I
Most
love
people
that.
have a plan for the business. You know,
Mm,
like when hear someone say, what's your goal for the business? I'll get to 1 million or 5 million or 10 million." I know it's not. It probably isn't directly related to the personal goals because if it was, it would be 4.23 or six point
mm,
five two because it relates to the things we're going to own, the things we're going to do, the money therefore we need to deliver. And it's like if you don't know why you're getting up in the morning, if you catch yourself saying, why am I getting up and why am I doing this? If you don't
mm.
have an answer, then it becomes quite hard.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
love
it's really
that word aligned. So the aligned, we have an acronym for A game, but we're also in the process of launching our new offer in coaching. It's more internally, even though I'm mentioning it on this podcast, but
brilliant.
we've got some of our existing clients that are on this new offer, which is basically the aligned founder.
Yep.
So you're either in alignment or you're not. And it's
Yes.
similar to that, it's making sure that your life and business are aligned up.
Yep.
We worked with some very successful business owners. The business is doing brilliant, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yes.
they're really unhealthy and they've got really challenges in their relationships, even to the point where some scenarios where the wives are threatening to leave them and things like this and take the children, and they're in a really challenging spot, and it's because you're way out of alignment. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this into alignment of you and the business. And at the moment, you're too on heavy on the business side. You're really attached onto the business, for
Yes.
example, but the business is doing really well.
Yep.
So let's bring yourself back in alignment. Let's come back to your values. What are your values? What's the
Great.
mission? Why are you doing all this? And tie it all back in again. But a part of the aligned founder is we're going to war with AI. So
Right.
as I mentioned earlier, obviously 2026 is going to be a lot more AI in the coaching space, and this the aligned founder is, from a business point of view, isn't going to be that scalable. It's going to be more in-person work because our A game coaching, with the exception of our yearly retreat that's we run, we have men's retreats that we host once or twice a year. All of our coaching is done online.
Yeah.
So our new latest offer is it's over a 6 month period, but it's all our normal coaching, but also the in-person work as well.
Yeah.
So we'll do boardroom style where we meet up somewhere like Lost and Found in Leeds, where we
Yeah.
get clarity on life, mostly life, but also making sure that it aligns with business. Then we do a retreat day, it's just a day retreat where we do cold water therapy, healthy eating, meditation, mindfulness to really help founders step out of the business. Probably not even going to talk about the business, but it's just more to step out of it and reset, refresh
Brilliant.
through those processes. And then the other meetup is basically a challenge. So we'll go to the Peak District, the Lake District, surround yourself with other business owners and other founders, and there'll be some on the spot coaching there as well.
Brilliant.
And yeah, we did some some research with our existing clients, and we hosted an event a couple of weeks ago at Lost and Found in Leeds, and the feedback was just incredible. We're like, this is yeah, we want more of this. We're like, well, so do we. So let's do it. Yeah. So it's
Brilliant.
been a great. It's been received quite well so far. So yeah,
Brilliant.
really looking forward to doing more of that in 2026, and yeah, bringing more business owners and founders together.
Brilliant. Great. And yeah, we were talking before, but I think that human connection is so key.
Yeah.
What and building communities. So you mentioned that, but and looking 2026 and beyond, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any, alongside the AI potential challenge?
Yeah, so we have thought about turning A game into more of a education and certification company. So we
Right.
qualify as an A game coach.
Yeah.
We know the amount of work that's involved with that. And obviously you'd have to partner with a governing body or, something like ICF or something like that,
Yeah.
to obviously your course has to go to their standards and everything else. So we know there's a lot of work there in that. We had my business partner and I had a great chat at the end of last year, and decided on revenue targets. And again, how do you want your day to look? What do you want to do? And
Great.
what team do we need to bring in? Do you still like doing that part of the business, or do you want to? Should we just get someone, a staff member in, and help with that bit? And I think it's mainly building the business around lifestyle, and that's what we have done. We've built it around our lifestyle, and the aligned
Brilliant.
founder is going to be more around our lifestyle because
Yeah.
I love day retreats, I love meditation, and I
Yep.
I love challenges and walking up mountains and things like that. So it just aligns perfectly for me. I think the challenges that we may face is still getting our messaging out there. I think there's going to be this challenge because the coaching industry is very saturated. Getting your personal branding to shine through is going to be the main thing here. And I think we
Yep.
may still find challenges with that to get our voice through. And obviously there's two of us, and we've got a small team. There's A Game, the brand, and then there's my personal brand, and then Adam Smith, my business partner, the
Yep.
other Adam, his personal brand. And it's making sure that the personal brands are coming through on all the
Yep.
social platforms, the right message, it's getting in front of the right people at the right time, and then learning from that. So over the years, we've not really looked at the data before, which is why we want this brand and marketing manager to come in and sort of own all that. But I
Yes.
still think it's going to be a challenge. I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, I don't know about you. On link, we're mainly on LinkedIn. That
Yep.
is mainly our main platform. The outreach process that we had doing 3 years ago on LinkedIn does not work anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Posting and hoping, that's never really worked. Sending 500 messages a week on LinkedIn no longer works. And all the commenting and things and all the actions you've got to do on social media organically, it just doesn't work anymore. So there's things that we've been doing recently. We do a lot of webinars at the moment as well,
Great.
so people can see us more and see us in action. So we're going to be doing a lot more of those. But I think to answer your question, that's still going to be a challenge for us as well, is getting our message out there and not sounding like everyone else.
Yeah.
Because there is even the alcohol-free space, there is a lot of alcohol-free coaches as well. Yeah.
Right.
Making
Yeah.
sure we're not commoditizing ourselves and not falling into
Yes.
the pool of one, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it is very, yeah, it is a challenge. I'd say it's not. I was going to say it's very difficult. It is a challenge. It's just something. It's something we just need to find our way through, don't we? But I
Yeah.
guess, one thing I do believe with bit is the more we are aligned to our values, the more we. I personally believe that if you take all of our values together, they always become like a fingerprint, i.e., they are relatively unique. We are
Mm.
all different, and if we can be true to them, then we're probably going to be that slightly bit different to anybody else, if that
Yeah, I agree
makes
with that.
sense.
Yeah.
So
And not being someone else and copying off someone else.
yes,
Yeah.
I one of the quotes I got from a lady a while ago, which I love. She said, "Always be yourself because everybody else is taken,"
Yeah, it's a good
which
one, that one.
I quite like. And and the point being, especially when the beauty of where we operate now, with the technology we've got, we can address the global market.
Mm.
So we only need a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of that global market to be incredibly successful.
Yeah.
So therefore, therefore we can be more and more and more specific about who we are, what we do, and just hit the A grade, the A plus grade clients, the ones that love exactly who we are and what we do,
Mm.
and therefore we value us, value us highly. Therefore they're highly profitable, and they probably give us lots of referrals because of people that are just like us and them.
Yeah.
Um,
That's it.
and I just
Yeah.
think the more we can, and it's just great to be who we are,
Mm.
in
Yeah, I
my
agree.
opinion.
Yeah.
And that's true in any form of business. I think it's especially true in service based business when we're delivering the service in many ways, but it's true I think in any business in all honesty.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
so
Mm.
final question, Adam, what would be the
Yeah.
best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that?
Oh, that's a great question. 18-year-old me. Geez, what was I doing then? You don't want to know. I'd say read.
Ah,
Read a
brilliant. Yeah,
Now I read a lot and I'm a reader. I wasn't even 4 years ago a big reader. Now the TV's off and I read. I think I'd say yeah, read, study, and find a mentor, find someone to look up to. Yeah, you're gonna get distracted a lot.
yeah,
You're gonna get distracted a lot here. And I'd say look after your health as well, because I was not healthy throughout all of my 20s. There was a
yeah,
lot of alcohol, drugs involved, and things. And yes, that's just going to steer you off in the wrong direction.
yeah,
So, and embrace the discomfort and the failure. I think at 18, you don't really know who you are. The 20s, you're working out who you are and who you're becoming. There's so much going on. So yeah, I think as well, last one I'd say is watch out for your circle. Who you hang around with is
yeah,
who you become. You're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. We've all heard that
yeah,
quote, and I think that plays massively at the age of 18, and it
yes,
can really dictate which
yes,
where you're going to go. So do an audit of yourself, but do an audit of the people you're surrounding yourself with. Now, are they good people? Most people are good, but we look at their
yeah,
behaviors, look at their habits, look at their standards, and is it aligned with where you're going and who you want to
yeah,
become? That's a lot of the work that we do. It's a great question, is who are you becoming?
yeah.
Who are you becoming? But now at 18, you don't really know, do you?
I
But yeah, I think that's important to ask yourself every day, every morning is who am I becoming? Who am I going to be today?
love it, and
Yeah.
I love it. It's an I mean, I find it's an interesting question in terms of the answers that we get. So
Mm,
I find it interesting. But somebody said a little while ago, and it wasn't a result of this question, but I don't think. But they actually said to me, and I find it interesting. So I've got my daughters are 19 and 23. So this is
yeah.
they're sort of, and somebody said, but if you think about it, the definition of an adult is being 18. That's the sort of legal definition. So
Mm,
basically, they said at 18, you're zero. You're sorry. At eight, let's get this right. At 18, you're a 0-year-old adult.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
at
Yeah,
19,
yeah.
you're a 1-year-old adult.
1 year old
So
adult. Yeah.
expecting to be know what the world is gonna, what I want to do and all those sorts of things,
Mm,
in terms of that definition, doesn't make sense. It is like you've got to get into your 20s and potentially even your 30s to start having a bit more of that logical thought. And I just think
mm.
whether it's true or not, or just a threat, it does free up. It hopefully frees 18-year-olds from having to think about it, because I'm not sure any 18-year-old should really be asked to know exactly what they want to be or where they're
No.
going to head to. And I think I think then we all might think we do, but we've got to learn a bunch of stuff. So I think it's an interesting question to ask, and it does come up with so many different answers. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, because I've sort of answered it from a very coachy perspective. Because
That's a great
I
answer.
probably would say, actually, you know what? Go and have loads of fun, enjoy yourself. That's the other one.
No, I think it's a great question because of where people have come from. It's a great question looking
Yeah.
back about that. But yeah, I mean, we've had different answers to many different things. One was have more fun. One was, I think, was it chase? I can't remember. One was either chase more or less girls. I can't remember exactly which. I can't remember which way around it was, to be perfectly frank. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's that life learning looking back. But
Mm,
then several people have said, quite rightly so, you can't tell an 80-year-old anything. So
no.
it's in itself a slightly pointless exercise. But brilliant. Well, look, Adam, it really has been delightful talking to you. Really fascinating,
Yeah.
and
And
I
yourself,
can
thank
see
you.
how what you do and what we do, sort of, there's lots of synergies going on there. But and for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or a game, what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, so as mentioned, most active on LinkedIn. So I'm literally just on there as Adam Mayhew, a game. You'll find me that way. I'm also on Instagram as well as Adam Mayhew underscore a game.
Brilliant,
Or our website, you can see what a little bit what we're about, which is just www.agameconsultancy.com.
brilliant. Well, look, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and continue the conversation and see
Yeah,
how things are going with as you say, in this brave new world of AI. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
thank you very much. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.